Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Connection. Come on in. We are ready to go.
Time now for The Real Estate Connection with Stephen Theard, a realtor and certified probate and real estate specialist. Whether you're a first-time homebuyer or a seasoned investor looking to downsize, move up, or refinance, this program is for you. Our house in the middle of our street. Something tells you that you go to in the middle of our... From probate sales to landscape design to home repairs and maintenance, this is your weekly look into all things real estate. Now your host for the Real Estate Connection, Stephen Theard.
Hey, everybody, welcome to my first official podcast only. Now, before, if you've been watching on this station, you have been watching me record for a radio program, but now we are strictly podcast only. So thank you, and I appreciate you guys joining me for the first official podcast. So this is going to be going up on Apple Podcasts and Podbean. I'm just going to show you a quick image of that. The Real Estate Connection, a podcast with Stephen Theard. That's right. We are going to be on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Podbean. And if you want information on how to sign up, just send me an email right there at info@realestateconnectionradio.com. Again, info@realestateconnectionradio.com. Hey, you know what? I'm playing around with a little video. So I am a practicing licensed realtor with Coldwell Banker out of the town of Gilroy, California, but have car will travel. I have a business I do all the way north to San Bruno, which I have a listing that's in contract right now. San Jose, Morgan Hill, San Martin, Gilroy. I'm all the way down into Hollister, and I've done some business in Marina and Aromas as well. So if you're looking for somebody to use to help you with your real estate real estate business, whether it's looking to buy or sell a home in the near future, I'm never too busy for any of your referrals or your business. Give me a phone call directly at 408-472-0817. Again, 408-472-0817. And here's a little video about the town of Gilroy that I think you might find interesting, just to see what Gilroy has to offer. Here we go. There you go. You have seen a little bit of Gilroy. So you guys can enjoy Gilroy. That's just a little bit. So we're going to jump right into today's show and get started and just go over what we are talking about on today's podcast episode. And I'm just going to set my timer here real quick for the length of time so I don't go too far over. And we're going to get rolling right now. So, have you ever wondered about selling a house on your own? Have you ever thought about putting your own house up for sale? You know, the market is still absolutely on fire. And in today's episode, we're going to take a look at 7 risks that you would take trying to sell your house on your own. In the real estate business, it's called for sale by owner. And so in today's market, since it is extremely hot and on fire, it's very tempting, very, very tempting to go out there and try to sell your house on your own. You know, as they say, It may be winter, but the real estate market is still hot. It is sizzling, absolutely on fire, and homes are selling fast and on buyers' terms. So, absolutely right now, because inventory is historically low, not only in California, but all over the United States of America, the real estate market is super hot. The reasons behind that we can get into if you want to talk about it specifically. You can give me a call at 408-472-0817, especially about your specific situation, and I can get into the details of why the real estate market is still on fire. But but the fact remains that it absolutely still is. So it is very tempting for sellers to go it alone. So a hot market may make it seem easy, but it can be dangerous. And those two words should never be used together when it comes for in real estate. Easy and dangerous. That is something that you don't want to get into. So in today's show, we are going to be discussing seven things that you may risk by going it alone in today's hot real estate market. So the market is hot. If you're thinking about buying or selling and taking advantage of cashing in on that equity that you've been building up for a very long time, give me a phone call right now, Stephen Theard at 408-472-0817. Again, I'm a practicing realtor with Coldwell Banker, California DRE number 017000019, and we can talk about your specific situation. But the real estate market absolutely still is scorching hot. And so there are seven things that you would absolutely risk if you decided to go on your own and go it alone to sell your house by yourself. So what is the first thing that you would be risking as far as going out there and trying to sell the house on your own? Well, accessibility issues. Okay? So old school thinking as far as selling your house on your own, the issue would be no lockbox, no access, right? Because uh if you are actually trying to sell your house on your own, people have to come inside of the property to take a look at it, right? And so you would be restricting access for yourself to as many buyers as you could get in because you're going to be working, you're out and about doing things, and it's hard to get people into the house. But not so much anymore. People will make a way to see your property because the market is so hot. The issue for today is how to keep up with the demand. The demand is really high out there for people to come and see your house. So how do you know people are really real estate agents and clients as well? So even though your phone may be ringing off the hook, how do you deal with the issue of knowing whether somebody's really serious or not? And how do you keep track of everyone who's coming and going in your house? A skilled realtor knows how to manage the process of having people coming in and out of your house, and keeping track of whether they're actually licensed professionals or people that are actually serious about buying your home. And we have the tools to do it. So if you're thinking about going out on your own, the very first risk you take is access to your home, managing the process, knowing who's coming and going, whether they're not actually real buyers and real buyers, or if they're actually licensed real estate professionals. And that's your first issue. So hiring a realtor will help you manage and get through that process 100%. Number two is in the environment of SARS coronavirus 2019, um, dealing with safety protocols, right? There are safety protocols that must be followed in order for your home to be shown while it's listed for sale. So, one, as a seller going it on your own, do you know what those safety protocols are? Are you allowed, based on the directives in your city or county, allowed to have people come in your house and see it prior to them making an offer? And if so, if you are allowed, do you need to be a licensed real estate professional in order to do so? These are just some of the issues that we're dealing with in today's environment having people come and go in a home so that it can get sold. Because in real estate, it's vitally important for people to go into the property and see the exterior of the property and other things before they actually write an offer. So it's vitally important to know what those safety protocols are. In hiring a real estate professional, not only do we know what the safety protocols are, we have been deemed essential workers, at least in the county that I'm working in and in the state of California, in order to continue selling real estate. And we are required by these safety protocols to post certain notices on doors and do certain things as far as who we can allow in, how many people, and keeping track of all of that. So it's super duper important to know what's going on in that arena. So if you are thinking about buying or selling and you don't want to deal with this hassle on your own, give Stephen Theard, your podcast realtor, a call at 408 472 0817. Again, that's 408 472 0817. And I'd be happy to help you out in this regard. It is very important to follow these safety protocols for various reasons. All right. Now, discussing the other issue in a hot real estate market that seems to make it more attractive for a person to go out on their own to sell the house by themselves is the prospect of multiple offers. So you may be thinking, hey, I'm just going to put this thing out for sale. The real estate market's super hot. I'm going to get a bunch of offers and I don't have to use a real estate professional. Well, the fact alone of having multiple offers creates an issue in and of itself. How do you know how to make sense of those offers and truly understand each one? Okay, so there's a professionalism and an understanding of contracts that real estate agents or realtors have, so that they can uh, go through the details of the contracts that are presented, know what's missing or needs to be addressed, what is advantageous for you, the seller, or not advantageous for you, the seller, when it comes to actually accepting that offer or wading through the multiple offers that you may be dealing with. Also, depending on where you're located, you could receive offers on various contract forms based on what is in use by realtors in your area. So what does that mean? So the California Association of Realtors have forms that they use that most realtors use statewide. And just having a base understanding of those forms is important in knowing how to navigate whether or not the contract that you're receiving is positively worded for you or against you. Additionally, there are some local associations that produce their own forms as well. And knowing the difference between those sets of forms and whether they're geared towards a buyer or a seller is vitally important as far as it is concerned as for your advantage or disadvantage in receiving an offer. And whether or not it requires you to do certain things or not require you to do certain things. So it's really super important that you have someone, a professional skilled and looking at the details of these forms in multiple offer situations. So even though it may appear on its face easy because the market is hot, and you may still, as selling on your own, receive lots of interest in forms, understanding those forms and going through the details of them is a skill that you would want to have in your back pocket. And if you don't, you want to hire a realtor and able to do that. So, um, with that being said, my name, in case you don't know, is Stephen Theard. You're listening to the Real Estate Connection podcast, and I am a practicing and licensed realtor in Northern California out of Santa Clara County, California DRE number 017000019. And I hang my license with a brokerage by the name of Coldwell Banker. You may have heard of it. If you are at all thinking about going it on your own, and this podcast has been giving you some uh, second thoughts about how to proceed, give me a phone call. We can talk about your specific situation. I can be reached at 408 472 0817. Again, 408 472 0817. And I want to thank you guys for joining me today on the podcast as we discuss the 7 things that you have to deal with that may cause you pause as far as trying to sell a house on your own. Again, these are 7 risks you may take that you're going to take trying to sell your house on your own. And one of those is the multiple offer process. Even though the real estate market is still scorching hot, you may get multiple offers. The question is, do you know how to wade through them and deal with all the different issues? So one of those are forms and how they're used. Forms used by local or state associations, and which have different provisions or contract timelines, and also vary on who pays what closing costs. So those are important issues and details that you need to get into when you're dealing with um, actually receiving offers. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted because I want to check the time to make sure we're not going over. All right, different offers that may come in the door on different forms. All right, so can you sift through them? You just might agree on accident to something that you would never have wanted to agree to and not fully understand the process because you are relying on yourself and not having the expertise in those areas. Uh, so the issue is a good realtor can help you wade through that and sort through the multiple offers. Also, we can help you manage timelines. There are timelines in the contract that you have to adhere to, and um, a realtor who's representing a buyer and you're for sale by owner, meaning you're selling it on your own, they're going to absolutely gear a contract towards the buyer's advantage because that's what they're hired to do. They're hired to advocate for a buyer. So, what you're going to want to do is going to have somebody who can review that information and advocate for you back. But if you don't have that information, from experience, you may be running into a risk of signing something that puts you at a disadvantage in the marketplace. So, besides, dealing with multiple offers, right? Additionally, there's one more thing I just want to add in there real quick. When you have more than one offer, 2, 3, or 4, experienced realtors will put all of the pertinent details in a spreadsheet and line them up side by side so it's easier to see the differences. Also, it's a way to present to you, the seller, in a summarized format what the issues are and what are the advantages and disadvantages for each offer. Knowing what the key details are in those offers is vitally important as well. So, again, hire an expert. Do not go it alone. You're risking not only a multiple offer situation where you're not understanding the details and timelines and costs that are delineated in the sales contract or the deposit receipt. Um, you're gonna also maybe sign up for something that you don't really want to sign up for, and then once all the signatures are been done, as a seller, it's too late unless the buyer actually backs out of the deal or does not perform the contract as indicated. All right, so accepting an offer is just the beginning. You also have to ensure that you as a seller goes goes uh, that the offer that you choose actually makes it to the finish line. Okay. So you can have multiple offers and you can get offered a great deal amount of money over the asking price, but will the deal actually close escrow? This is important. This is an analysis that is also made by a professional real estate agent or realtor. We review the contracts. We see whether or not they're reasonable and provide guidance to you, the seller, to know if there is a likelihood of the deal actually closing. Now, if you've listed your house for $500,000 and you get an offer for $600,000, your instinct is going to be, I'm taking it. I'm going to take the 600 grand. That's $100,000 over asking. But that's not the only thing you need to look at. If there is an appraisal contingency in the offer saying that the house has to appraise for 600,000 and nothing in the area has appraised for $600,000, then what's the likelihood that you're going to get the full 600,000 at the end of the day? Also, how much money is the buyer putting down? If the house doesn't appraise, do they have enough extra cash to cover the difference? Those are just two items that a realtor will look at on the surface of a contract to let you know whether or not there's a likelihood of escrow closing. Not to mention the financing details and knowing what is going on in the world of real estate as far as financing is concerned, and if the terms on the contract are going to are reasonable as far as what is occurring in the financing world today. Because if it's not, then there's a high likelihood that you're not going to close escrow, even though you have a lot of money being offered and put on the table. So it's very, very, very important to know whether or not the offer that you're thinking about signing has a likelihood of actually closing. So what is the fifth risk that you would take if you go it on your own to sell your house? Okay, what is the fifth risk? As a seller, selling your house on your own and not being a full-time real estate professional who has their pulse, their fingers on the pulse of the real estate market, you're not connected to the current dynamics of what gets a house sold. Now, it may be true that all the houses in your neighborhood are selling within 3 or 4 days with multiple offers. But do you understand the dynamics underneath why those houses are selling so quickly? And are you aware of other houses that are still sitting on the market? Because we have confirmation bias normally as we're thinking about things, right? So if I'm thinking about selling my house and I'm looking around and all my neighbors' houses are selling, all I'm seeing is the sold signs going up. I'm not noticing that one house around the corner that has a for sale sign on it and it's been sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting. You may not understand why that house is sitting, and you may put your house on the market and align it with the house around the corner, and then your house sits. And that's not good in the real estate market, especially when houses are moving quickly. If your house starts to sit for too long, then people are going to wonder why. And that's never a good thing in real estate. So you have to understand how a house needs to be marketed, how it needs to be presented, and how the photographs need to be taken and displayed on the internet. That brings up another issue. Do you have access to being able to market your house on the internet during this time period that we're living in right now? It's not the old days where people could drive by, see a sign, and go into an open house. We're not doing open houses anymore. 99.9% of all home buyers are starting their home searches on the internet. So are you aware, or do you know how to get your home's pictures on the internet? And do you know what those pictures are supposed to look like and how your house needs to be presented in order to attract buyers? If you're not aware of this, you could be falling into a trap and not having your house marketed appropriately. Additionally, pricing is very important. Not having your fingers on the pulse of the market and being connected to it 24/7 to understand pricing as well as presentation could be a stumbling block for you as far as getting your home sold as quickly as possible. A licensed professional full-time realtor who has their fingers on the pulse of the market will understand all of this and be able to present the home appropriately to the marketplace so as to take advantage of um, different different strategies in order to get your home sold. Oh, sometimes I trip over my words. It's okay. It's okay. We keep on a rolling. All right. Again, thank you for joining me on the podcast today. We're going to take a little break there. Woo! I was going pretty heavy and hard on discussing that. Basically, what boils down to, if you don't have your fingers on the pulse of the market, it's hard to know how to market a property appropriately in order to get it sold quickly. All right, so hire a professional. Why go it on your own and take the risk of dropping the ball and creating an issue for your home that's hard to overcome? And if you'd like to talk to somebody directly about your particular situation, give me a phone call right now. Stephen Theard, your podcast realtor, at 408 472 0817. Again, 408 472 0817. Call me today. Let's talk about your particular situation and see if we can get you moving in the right direction. All right, transaction complications. This is the other reason you're going to want to need a realtor. Um, the market is hot, but because it's hot, there's a lot of loans in the marketplace, which is causing a slowdown in processing times with lenders. And managing this can be an issue, and knowing what to expect and to plan for it right now is important. Um, this is the advantage of hiring a realtor and not going on your own is again going back to knowing what's going on in the market. If you understand this going in, you can plan for it in advance. Because when you're selling a house and you get into contract and you think it's going to close at a certain time, and you're making plans like hiring movers, storage facilities, contractors, repair people. I mean, you're having delays, especially if you have a house waiting for you on the other side. This is a problem, especially if you're contingent. If buying your next property is contingent upon closing escrow on the property that you're in now, this can be an issue. A realtor is going to know how to take advantage, not take advantage. A realtor is going to know how to provide solutions to these issues. As the U.S. Navy SEALs say, work the problem. We work the problem to overcome obstacles so that we can get these deals done and completed. So, this recently happened to me for a client that was having problems with their financing for other reasons. And so I had a relationship with another lender who was able to provide us with a private money loan to satisfy the issue. Very important to have options. And when you're going it on your own and you're not in the marketplace with lots of different relationships and connections with service providers and lenders, it's hard to come up with solutions to problems on your own. So, transaction complications is absolutely a thing, and you want to have somebody to guide you through it. So, what's number 7? The last issue, the risk that you would be dealing with um, trying to go it on your own. Again, we're talking about 7 risks you take trying to sell your house on your own. Well, post occupancy issues. This has to do with after close of escrow, with warranties on homes, and it also has to do with whether or not you need to stay in the property, say another 30 days, in order to move on to your new location, which happens quite a bit in today's market where inventory is low and it's hard to find a replacement property, or you're waiting for your house to be completed as far as construction is concerned, or your other house that you're buying, the seller there hasn't finished closing escrow, and so you just need maybe a week or two, or a few weeks, or maybe a month to stay in the house after close of escrow. Well, how do you negotiate that as part of the transaction? Who pays for what? Do you get to stay for free? Do you have to pay the buyer rent in order to stay back? What about a rental deposit? Because you're entering into a landlord tenant situation. Once escrow closes, the house is no longer yours, it belongs to the buyer. And if you're staying afterwards, you become the tenant of the new owner, which means you may be looking at different types of insurance coverages to have. And then maybe you might be required to keep a deposit in escrow after close of escrow for staying in the property. And how do you get that deposit back? All of those things are issues that you may not be aware of. And if you're depending on the agent of the buyer, to help in this, you may be setting yourself up to be put in a situation that is not advantageous to you as a seller. So it's good to have somebody advocating for you on all of these issues. So that's the last one, post occupancy issues. Again, if any of this is ringing true to you as far as concerns for potentially selling the house on your own, if you're thinking about that these days, as it's really tempting because the market is super hot for all kinds of reasons, various reasons out there, give me a call, Stephen Theard, Realtor with Coldwell Banker, California DRE number 017000019, with your questions. Let me get you moving forward, protect you in the sales process so that you can walk away from that house with your equity converted into cash into your bank account and moving it either into your retirement home or your dream home or your downsized property, whatever it may be that you're using that equity for. Let me assist you in converting that equity into cash so that you can walk away with a clear conscience without ever having to look back over your shoulder moving forward into the future. Again, give me a call, 408-472-0817. And hey, remember, we're now a podcast, so you can catch me on Podbean, podbean.com. Just look for the Real Estate Connection on Podbean or Apple Podcasts. So I'm going to put this graphic back up. The Real Estate Connection, a podcast with Stephen Theard on Apple Podcasts. If you don't want to go looking for it, send me an email at info@realestateconnectionradio.com. That's info@realestateconnectionradio.com. Thank you very much for joining me today on my first podcast. And I'm going to leave you with a summer sunrise, or actually a sunrise over San Francisco. And I'm going to leave you with the information about the podcast. There you go. Thank you for joining me, everybody. I appreciate you guys so much. And we are going to get out of here, and we will see you all next week on another episode of the Real Estate Connection with your host and podcaster, Stephen Theard. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me see if I can get this outro music going. Did I catch it? Wants to listen. Nope, that's not right. Let me see. Uh, closer. Theard, which you can reach at 408
radio.com. And be sure to tune in.
All right. Well, I tried it. We're gonna go out another music. I apologize about that. We'll see you guys later.